Well, I've got a notepad here of things that I wanted to talk about for the game yesterday. The preseason game, of course, that we're talking about, where the Colts didn't play hardly any starters. Juju Brents got some time. Jelani Woods, really wanted to cover those guys. Nick Cross had an absolute outing, but there's a massive problem that the Indianapolis Colts have that I don't know is getting the correct amount of warranted attention um, to how big this could be for the rest of the Colts season. All that and more on today's video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And today we are talking about Matt Gay. Matt Gay, of course, who's not a longtime Colt, but at the time of his contract signing last season, he was the second highest paid kicker. I believe now he is still within the top 5 highest paid kickers. And he proved as much. He did really well last season. He had a couple really good long distance kicks last year. But I think there's always been this concern of, was he worth it? Was he worth the price tag of, I'm pulling up his contract here. It was a 6-year, 4-year, $22.5 million contract, which is about $5.625 million per year. That's $13 million guaranteed. It was the second largest contract for a kicker in NFL history when it was signed in 2023. So that leads us to where the Colts are today. Because yesterday, Matt Gay missed 2 more field goals. That makes him now 3 straight misses from 56, 57, and 44 yards. Now, the first 2, you're like, oh, well, over 50. But the league average for an NFL kicker above 50 yards is 69%. That is any kick attempted over 50 yards. The league average is 69%. Matt Gay is at 61.5% on a regular. That's not including this preseason. But now we're looking at a guy who has now missed 3 straight kicks in the preseason, which is a big deal because you're talking about a guy who is going to get a lot of reps, especially if this offense is like it was last year and has to rely a lot on the kicker. We are going from, just 4 short years ago, having the all-time leading scorer as our kicker, who was a consistency for 15 years. But now we're looking at a guy, we went from that to Rodrigo Blankenship, who looked really good. And then obviously injuries plagued him and he could never come back. Then it was kind of bouncing around. And now we thought we settled at Matt Gay being the answer at kicker. Unfortunately, it now looks as though the Colts might have to either readdress or put their hope in Matt Gay as a kicker. Because here's some bookmarks that we talked about from James Boyd. Shane Steichen said he's not worried about Matt Gay. He's a pro. I think he's going to be fine. But then we got an interview again from James Boyd, but Matt Gay says he didn't have his typical holder, Rigoberto Sanchez, which was a factor in in his missed field goals. He credited Spencer Schrader for stepping in and never being a placeholder before. So while I understand that is possible, the 44-yard miss is one that I think draws the most attention for me. And that is, you're in a dome, you're at home, you're in a very low pressure situation in preseason, and you miss. Now, I don't know what the hold looked like. I didn't go through and look at where the lace is in. What did it look like? Was the timing all there? But the 44-yard miss draws more attention to me than either of the 50-yard misses, because take away the preseason. Matt Gay, excuse me, Matt Gay is still only 61% above 50 yards. Now, he's hit in some clutch moments already in his Colts career and with the Los Angeles Rams. But again, it still warrants concern that while the league average is 69%, Matt Gay is 61%. And it's not that I'm judging his misses. This is the second highest paid kicker in NFL history before the Evan McPherson contract that we saw earlier today. We're talking about a guy who is missing pretty consistently, and I think that should warrant some concern. Now, Matt Gay might figure it out, and it might be great. And Rigoberto Sanchez obviously missed last night's game because they're welcoming in their second daughter or their second child. So obviously there's things that throw off the rhythm and the timing. But again, the 44-yard miss is almost one of those that I feel like is inexcusable just because of that. So that's one of the things that brings concern. There's other things that we need to talk about with last night's game, and I wrote down a lot. Juju had a couple really good plays, but unfortunately was called for that first drive pass interference, and then had a really good hit and unfortunately was brought out of the game with some sort of nose injury. We don't have an update on that and what that means, but it does seem like that. It's unfortunate because you wanted Juju to be able to get some more reps. But Taven Bryan looked really good. Jalen Carley's looked amazing. He had a couple really big stops in the first drive. I think he's one that I'm really excited to see go up. The big takeaway that I had was Nick Cross tackling the football was absolutely incredible. The free safety position has gotten the most amount of attention of any position on this Colts team through the offseason, not only from myself, but through a lot of media attention. But I think that Nick Cross is really starting to bud as that free or strong safety. Last night he played quite a bit of strong safety and looked really, really good. And I think that that's a position that he might be able to mold into. Julian Blackmon can play free safety. He's had to do it a couple times, but not, I don't think, ideal. So I think that that's interesting. Nick Cross obviously looks really, really good. I'm excited to see how he continues. They're going to keep playing him, though, just so he can get as many reps in that position as possible. A couple other things to talk about is that Evan Hull and Tyler Goodson both looked fantastic. Goodson had a really, really good bounce back run for 14 yards for a touchdown. He looked awesome. Goodson is currently my pick for not only RB3, because that's the big battle. I think a lot of people have it locked in their mind that Trey Sermon is going to be an easy lock for RB2, but I actually really like Goodson. I like Goodson and the potential and what he's able to do. And then I also saw a lot from Evan Hull yesterday. Evan Hull, being this Iowa guy, this power back, I really liked him. I thought it was really good, and being able to really provide that power back offense. He looked good. He was behind Bortolini for a little bit, and they were able to do some fun like push runs, really get some more yards after the initial play and kind of go past that. Another thing to talk about is that this quarterback 3 race is far from over because Sam Ehlinger is Mr. August. We've talked about that time and time again. He had the start yesterday, but Jason Bean and Keaton Slovis looked good. Jason Bean is one that I think is, for me, the most intriguing, only because of him being listed as a wide receiver quarterback and what that could potentially bring. But those are the stocks up, right? Those are the ones that I think that those are the ones that I'm excited about. The stocks downs. There was quite a bit of guys that I think did had a significant amount of drop yesterday in what they're able to do. And the big one was Anthony Gould for me. Anthony Gould was a guy who I really thought was going to be more lethal on the return game, but there was an early play that has been a consistent thing for him, and that is that he fumbled the ball on a quick catch, caught it, turned, went to go upfield, and it wasn't a particularly hard hit, but he fumbled the ball and it went to Arizona. Again, preseason, so you're not necessarily worried about all of that, but it is something that warrants concern. And so for me, Anthony Gould, who we've talked about potentially being the lock at the slot receiver position, I don't know that that's the case anymore. I think Anthony Gould has got to figure out this ball security thing and figure it out quick, especially if you're going to be a return man and take a lot of head-on contact. So those are my stock up and stocks down. There's a lot more takeaways that we'll get into throughout this week. But for now, the big thing is, do the Colts have a Matt Gay problem? We will let you know and keep you updated on everything going forward. Be sure to like and subscribe and be a part of this Sports Talk Indy community, and we'll keep you up to date on all things going on Colts.